Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of My Sunderland 11. If you are new to the channel and you like what you see, please do subscribe and leave a like on the video. As always, in association with the Sunderland Food Bank, links to how you can donate and get involved and help out for the people that really need it most at the moment. All of that is in the description below. But today, a very, very special guest we have. We have someone I've known when we were at games. We go to games and in the pub before and afterwards as well. Cass, how are you?
I'm absolutely fine, Matthew. And I remember it again when you were a little lad, and I just got myself an iPhone type thing, and you showed me how to use it.
I remember you trying to take pictures, and I was trying to show you how to take pictures on them. I think that's what it was.
Remember that? Yeah.
I think so.
I've still got those pictures. I had the same shirt on.
Oh right, no, I think that might have been Southampton away. I'm not too sure what game that was.
No, it was a London one. It might have been a West Ham one or a Tottenham.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
There we are.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So my first question for you, really, Cass, is so what's lockdown been like for you, really, over the past few months?
Well, when it started in March, because I'm well retired, and it was a heat wave, it didn't make any difference because I'm a keen gardener as well. You know, both vegetable gardening and ordinary gardening, and I was in my shorts nearly all the time, and then it dragged on into the summer when. Actually, I went for a week's holiday when they eased the lockdown, and I went to Roker.
Oh, a lovely holiday.
We had a week there.
Nice.
But lovely. I have to say, when the weather's like this, it's not the easiest. And at the same time, we were child-minding a granddaughter who's 2 and a bit, and now we can't. But we've had our injections, our vaccines. Do I look as if I didn't?
How have you found that with the vaccines? Okay, then.
Yeah, well, it was fine. You've got to wait. I've got another week to go for the 3 weeks till you build up your immunity. So.
Oh, okay.
I've no idea. We're still treating it as lockdown.
Yeah, of course. So you said
what about you, Matthew? Are you allowed out?
Oh God, no! I haven't been out in ages. Just been in the house doing this. Yeah, it's been fine. I'm not complaining. It's absolutely fine. It's fine for me.
It's not so bad for us.
Nah, it's not so bad. No, when you can do something like this, it's quite good. Apart from just sitting down all day watching TV. So.
Well, the only thing that makes me miserable is watching Sunderland, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Because the difference between watching them on the telly and actually having 3 or 4 beers before the game and then going with a group of mates is, if you think they're really bad, we're moaning there at the game, and then when it comes to afterwards in the pub, we're a bit more positive. But with people just swapping their messages with WhatsApp, everybody seems to be complaining about everything. Mind it is worth complaining about, but it
is. Even if a Sunderland player makes a mistake, my dad gets his phone, he's straight on the chat saying, "What a silly pass."
Well, I don't read any of those until after the game, and there was 47 yesterday that I had to read.
I know. I don't read it either. He just grabs his phone every time. Like, you just put your phone down for the whole game. Like, just relax. But I don't know. You mentioned earlier you went up to Roker, so obviously I know you live down south. So how's that?
Well, any chance I get, we still go back. Believe it or not, I've got a little holiday apartment. When I was working and I could afford it. You know, when they pulled the shipyards down and they built in the St. Peter's area, I thought, we'll get a little apartment because the 3 children, although they're all born in London, they enjoy going up there, and we go up to see relations and friends. I mean, this is why I've still got friends from Whitburn Colliery now, even though I've been away 50 odd years, and it's because of Sunderland Football Club. So
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. So just another question really is like, tell us a little bit about yourself, like what you did as like a job and sort of what you're doing now.
All right. What am I doing now? Oh,
What you
God.
doing now?
Well, it was unusual because from Whitburn Colliery, I think I was the first one to go to university from there. And I got a degree and I didn't know what to do. And I went back to Sunderland and, they were closing everything, closing the shipyards. Dad worked at the pit. They were closing the pits, closing the shipyards. And I went back for a few months after I got a good degree, but there was just nothing. I was digging ditches and getting jobs, doing anything. And Dad says, well, you've got to leave. So I said, right, I'll give London a year. And I'm still here. And I came down and worked at Greenwich Gas Works to start with. And then I drifted into teaching because in those days they would give you extra money. Even though I hadn't trained, they would give you extra money if you had a degree. And so I just did supply teaching, enjoyed it, and then ended up doing in the evenings an advanced diploma because I thought I'll stay in teaching and get promotion. And then I did in the evenings again at London University at the Institute of Education. I did a master's degree in curriculum studies, and I stayed in teaching the rest of my life. And once you get 40 years in teaching, it was a very good pension. And I was I went on supply. I was doing secondary and primary. And a head teacher asked me if I want to be paid for the 6 weeks summer holidays. By now, I've got a summer 67. And I says, oh, I wouldn't mind being paid for that, but I've got a job for the 6 weeks, as a delivery man. He said, you can be paid twice. And so I went into primary school, and for the last 23 years, I was a head teacher just down the road here. I just walked to work for 23 years. Nobody does that in London.
No, I know.
And the other thing is, I remember quite a few games which would be on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I'd be sitting there or in the job all suited up thinking, I wouldn't mind going to Peterborough tonight. Or I remember one, I wouldn't mind going to Oxford tonight. And I'd just go into the school office and say, I've got to go to the education department. Okay, I'll be in tomorrow morning. With my suit, I'd get on a train and go to the match. But don't tell anybody that.
I won't. No. Of course not. I'm sure the kids at the school, you informed them on how Sunderland was doing every week.
You know what? In the street now, in this street, everybody talks about Sunderland. And if I bump into anybody in the high street, they all want to know about Sunderland because where I live, it's a big Charlton area, and we've got history with Charlton.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't like sort of the greatest place to be around those people when, like, after the 2 playoff finals,
Oh, great! Yeah, I'll tell you, I felt more sorry about that first playoff was our James. Because he was the only son. He was 7 or 8 years old, and even though I bought him a season ticket for Charlton Reds, Junior Reds, he still kept saying, "But it's not a real team." I said, "James, you've got to support your local team, Yeah, but where have you been today? Well, I've been to see Sunderland. That's my real team, isn't it? And of course, after that first, the penalty shootout defeat, he had to go back to school. As the only Sunderland supporter in a school half full of Charlton supporters. Well, there we are.
Yeah, I know. Like,
made a man of him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, similar with me. I went to school with a bunch of. Obviously, I never had that sort of scenario, but I went to school with a bunch of like Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham fans. Yeah. So I was the only Sunderland fan. So anyone who like knew my name, I was just the Sunderland fan in the school. But I didn't mind it really. At least they knew me for something. It was something good.
But you know what? By the time James got to his teens, if Sunderland were playing anywhere around London, and in those days you could get away tickets, whereas now it's very difficult. But you'd say, Dad, I need 5 tickets. What for? Oh, my mates want to come. I say, well, Luke supports West Ham and Dave supports Charlton and Rory supports the season ticket. No, the like coming with us. It's a much better away end. And you know what? If we go anywhere to watch Sunderland now, if we can get the tickets, his mates still want to come to watch Sunderland.
Oh, yeah.
There we
Yeah.
are.
My friends, I've taken my friends a few times, took them to Sunderland twice, took them to MK Dons away, and they seem to really enjoy it. So it's sort of like a good day out. If you ever wonder, oh, should we go out, spend a day together? It's like, what do we do? Well, let's go to a Sunderland game. Why not?
Well, you'll not believe this. Part of James' stag weekend when he got married 4 years ago was we went shooting down in Kent somewhere. His mates had organised clay pigeon shooting, and then we did something else. And then he had treated 20 odd of them to a Sunderland away game in the afternoon at Crystal Palace. And at half time, we were 4-0 up. And his mates just couldn't believe it. They were jumping up and down as well. There we are.
I know. I was there as well. I couldn't believe it. I thought we were, because that's the season we got relegated and we were awful that season. I thought we were going to get smashed like 3 or 4-0 here. 4-0 up at half time. I couldn't believe it either. So it was a good game we took them to.
Yeah, and Big Sam was their manager.
I know, and I think it was like Patrick Van Aanholt's first, like his home debut at Selhurst Park. So I think we're all singing "Patrick, what's the score?" at him whenever he came to take a throw in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go, really. So my next question, really, before we go through your sort of starting 11, obviously you got great stories of Sunderland, but if you're to try and put into words, what does Sunderland AFC mean to you?
Well, absolutely everything. As I explained earlier, all of these really good friends in Sunderland, some of them I never ever see them unless it's football matches. And I'm thinking of a couple of lads in particular that I see in the Harbour View. They were at the infant school with me. That's where I met them. And I'm still seeing them, even though I've been away 50 odd years. And how I got into Sunderland, everybody in Whitburn Colliery supported Sunderland. Mama had a season ticket for 19 years, going with me dad as well. And whenever I phoned home after I left home, people say, well, what do you talk to if you phone your mum once a week? I said, well, for the first 20 minutes, we talk about Sunderland Football Club, and then the rest of the time, the family. So really, the club's everything to me. And it's strange, even yesterday, somebody in the street, he's a bike bloke, and I go out cycling and my bike was knacked and he repaired it. When he brought the bike back, all he talked about was Sunderland Football Club. And he's from the west coast of Ireland, So, yeah, everything. I've never wanted to. Once I came to London and I got into a career, and then I got married and the children were born down here, I had no inclination to go back there and live. But it's funny, Bethan, my wife, absolutely loves going up to Sunderland. The children do. So really, it's in the heart there. It's everything. I love it. And you know, when sometimes I hear people say, that's the worst match I've ever seen, I'm never going there again. And I keep thinking, well, you must be an idiot, because I've seen worse games than that. I've never dreamt of seeing that. And you know what, Matthew? I went from a babe in arms, believe it or not. If mum couldn't get somebody to baby mind me, usually it was, I went to Auntie Ada's every Saturday afternoon, but I was taken as a babe in arms. And I can't remember, obviously, when I was tiny, but the very first couple of games I remember myself was one against Wolves, where they were a top team, and we beat them 5-2, and Shackleton was on fire. Wolves had the England goalkeeper, Williams, and he was known as the Cat. And we thought he was fantastic. And I think it was Shackleton hit the ball from the midfield and he fumbled at Williams into his own net. And Sunderland beat Wolves when they had Billy Wright was the England captain, and we beat them 5-2. But what I was enamoured about was I thought their gold strip was fantastic. And that game stuck in my mind. And another one that stuck in my mind, again, it was the strip. And Liverpool were in a white strip with red piping around the sleeve and a red collar. And we hammered them 3-0 and we got a penalty against them. And that was the season they went down. It didn't stick in my mind because of because they went down. I didn't even remember that they had gone down. But again, it was the strips, and I think it was because Sunderland won. And then the last one that really sticks in my mind, I've mentioned Charlton. Their most famous manager is Jimmy Seed. Well, that's my uncle. Great uncle, Dad's uncle Jimmy. Because my gran, before she was married, was Maggie Seed. Jimmy Seed brought Charlton, and again, Shackleton was on fire, brought Charlton up to Sunderland, and I went in with Mum, and Dad was treated because Uncle Jimmy was the manager of Charlton. And we hammered them, and I think it was 7-0 or 7-1. And the week after, Uncle Jimmy got sacked from Charlton. So anyhow, that's the history of Sunderland. And I'm allowed to go and watch Tuesday night games if they're on, because I get the train up on a Tuesday, stay with Denny Tuesday night and come back Wednesday. But I mean, I wouldn't have met you lads if it wasn't because of Sunderland.
That's true. Yeah,
there
absolutely.
We are.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think you did go up to Sunderland. I think just before like the lockdown, didn't you? I think you went to the Fleetwood game or something like that.
I did. I went to the Fleetwood game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I did. I mean, I went up to Sunderland like for the last sort of 3 or 4 home games before lockdown, because I literally had nothing else to do. I love it as well. I love the whole thing of getting the train up there and then arriving there. It's like 2 different places, just 2 like different worlds really, and it's nice. It's like a nice little break from down here, really, isn't it?
It is. And the other thing, from James being about 6 or 7 years old till he was about 13 or 14, we were allowed to go by his mother to Saturday games because she just wanted him out of her hair. And so I had a family rail card, and I don't think he realises how lucky he was, because Old Trafford, Goodison, Anfield, everywhere, you name it, he'd been to every ground. Because when we first went up into the Premiership, and we set the record number of points, I thought we were going to come straight back down. So I thought, right, he's got to see these grounds. So we were going to every single game. And of course, then we stayed up, and they were glory years. Hang on,
yeah.
I don't know. Can you see that?
Bring it over a bit. Oh yeah.
I don't know how to get it. That's James and I with a second division championship at the Stadium of Light, of course.
Yeah, brilliant. That's brilliant. That's a brilliant story. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I enjoy it as well. Just traveling the country really, and going to different stadiums. It's amazing, really. Like people just think, oh, football is just it's just a sport. People kick a football around, but they don't see sort of the community it builds, and then what it gives you, really.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I say to people, they'll say, what do you want to follow Sunderland for? I say, well, I absolutely love it, and I meet friends, and I see different places, and I'll say, have you been to Scunthorpe? They'll go, no. What would I want to go there for? I said, well, have you been to Bury? What do you want to go there for? And all these places I've been to, and I wouldn't have been there if it hadn't been. Hey, one year we're on holiday, August, down in Carmarthen, because Bethan's Welsh speaking, and we were down there, and we were looking around the market, and I kept thinking, And I'm sure it was a Friday, and Sunderland's very first game in the new stadium was against Man City. And I thought, I'm in the wrong place here, on holiday in Carmarthen. I passed the station, and I thought, that's it. And I went in and bought 2 return tickets from Carmarthen to Sunderland to see the match.
Yeah.
James and I went all the way overland. And of course, I didn't realise the quickest probably would have been express to London and then up to Sunderland. But we went on this little train all the way through Welsh hills and this, that, and the other. And we got up to see that first game where we beat Man City 3-1.
Wow. Yeah. That's
from
fantastic.
Carmarthen, I was on holiday.
So you went back there straight after the match then?
No, the next day. We couldn't go straight back. I'm sure it was a Friday night game. I should check these things on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. It's been great hearing that. I think we could start with your team then. Your starting 11. So your greatest ever starting 11. Start us off with your goalkeeper. Who you have in goal?
Yeah, can I say my starting 11? They mightn't gel, but my favourite players.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
I've jotted things down. Mapson, local lad, really good player. Goalkeeper Cowan, we signed him. I remember being thrilled. We signed him. He was a Scottish international. But then, do you remember Derek Foster was only 15 when he played in goal for Sunderland? Then the Sorensen, Mignolet. But the choice is really between Pickford and Montgomery. Pickford is more of a modern goalie, but I'll go for Montgomery because he was my hero. And the season in 1973, where 17 friends stayed on the floor of my 1-bedroom flat in Lewisham.
Wow. Wow, that's brilliant. What a great game that was as well.
Oh, I was walking on water afterwards. You know what was in my mind walking away from that game, Matthew?
What was?
They'll never, ever take that away from us.
Yeah.
And it was there. And Les came down, and the Sunday League team he played for up in Sunderland played in red and white. And he says, look what I've got. And we had 2 red and white shirts on at that game. And afterwards, when we went for a meal, the waitresses thought we were players. I was younger then. And they were getting us to sign their blouses. There you are.
Oh, wow, brilliant! That's fantastic. Now, what a great goalkeeper he is now. Still at the club now, in some sort of capacity as well with the Montgomery suite. But yeah, no, what a legend! What a legend there. So we'll move on. We'll move on now to your fullbacks. So who have you gone with at right back?
Well, right back, that's a story. A local lad. I liked Jack Stelling, and I don't even know if I was in the game, but I suppose you know that in 1950 we were walking the league and we were playing against Man City. We were top of the league. They were plumb bottom. At the end of the season, they got relegated, and all we had to do was beat the bottom team. They went 2-0 up. Jack Stelling scored a penalty, and then we got another penalty, and that would have given us eventually the league. But Bert Troutman saved it. But the ref said, retake it. And he retook it, and Troutman scored it again. And Portsmouth won the league, and we gained 3. So I'll not put Jack Stelling in there.
No, yeah.
Fullbacks, I was thinking of people like Kubicki, for example. I wouldn't put him in there, but it was strange. Do you remember? He had 126 consecutive games, and he would have beaten Mulhall's record. And Reed dropped him so that he didn't get the record.
Yeah.
But I think I know they can play anywhere. Colin Todd was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And He could be midfield for me. He played centre half for Derby. But I remember a particular game at Crystal Palace where Sunderland got thrashed, except it was only something like 2-0. And I kept thinking, we're never going to win a game again, ever, ever. And Colin Todd was the only player we had. So I'll pick Colin Todd. Right.
Yeah, no, that's a fair choice. No, that sounds good. So then we'll move over to your left back. Who have you gone with at left back?
I'll go with Michael Greer. I'll forgive him for missing that penalty.
Yeah,
I don't need to say any more because I'm sure.
yeah,
And I just like the way he was. Well, to me, sort of our first modern fullback in that he was a very good footballer. And so, overlapping footballer. Was it his wonderful cross against Newcastle that Quinn headed in? Yeah, but he did that frequently. I like Michael Greer, and again, a local lad. Like Todd. Todd came from Washington, and Greer. There we are.
Yeah, that's great. I think he's disappointed because he had such a good Sunderland career, but everyone kind of remembers him for the obviously that penalty miss, which is a shame really, because I think he was such a great player really.
He was. I thought so.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go now to your centre backs. So you can go through one of these each.
Well, to me, there was no choice there. Charlie Hurley, of course, is our player of the century. And this is the first time when we started chanting on the terraces. If we got a corner, we'd be chanting, Charlie, Charlie. And you thought he was going to, and actually, he wasn't 6 foot plus, Charlie. But you just thought he was 6'6". He always I don't know if it was because he timed his run. And I remember one game, it was away at Norwich, and we won 1-0. I think it might have been in the cup. And who should score it but Charlie? And we just thought, he was a superstar. He would have been your first player on the team sheet every single time. And then to go straight on, Watson. He wasn't with us that long, but he was an excellent centre-half. And I mean, say no more, he went on to play regularly for England. So Dave Watson I would put in there as well. Even though he sort of started off as a centre-forward with us. So it shows what a good footballer he was when we could have played in a few positions. Yeah.
No, absolutely. No, that's great. Wasn't he part of the 73 team as well, Dave Watson?
He was in the oh yeah, he was the one who headed the ball back in that Porterfield smacked in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
put him down for that header.
Yeah, the assist. Yeah, no, that's great. So that's your defensive line done. Have you gone with a 4-4-2 or is it a 4-3-3?
Well, when I wrote my team out to start with, I put 5 forwards because when we were children and youths, you'd spend your life writing Sunderland's football team, and I would always put 5 forwards. And so that's what's going to become difficult.
Yeah,
I think it'll end up as 4-2-4. Although I might have gone, as they did before, 3-2-5.
Yeah.
And if I went 3-2-5, I would have put, Watson would have been able to play it right back and Charlie Hurley at centre half and Todd moving into midfield. But at the moment, it's sort of, I suppose, 4-2-4.
All right, that's no problem. That's fine. All right, then, so we'll go to your centre midfielders. So who have you got at centre midfield?
Well, Stan Anderson was just there all the time, and he was excellent. He played a couple of games for England, and I think if we'd been in the first division, as it was then, he might have played more. But again, that game against Arsenal, where he burst through and scored 2 goals in the cup, and we beat Arsenal. We were in the second division. We beat Arsenal 2-1. So Stan Anderson was phenomenal. Andy, local lad. Andy didn't want to leave Sunderland. and then he became the Mags captain.
Oh,
But in those days, Matthew, you know, it's strange. In 1955, when we lost in the semi-final against Man City, and the Mags only had York City to play in the semi-final, otherwise it would have been Sunderland against Newcastle in the final. When it came to the final, Newcastle against Man City, I was really pleased that Newcastle had won the cup. This sort of dislike came later on, because we used to go Sunderland one week to see them win, and we'd stand in the Gallagher end the next week to see Newcastle lose, but nobody batted an eyelid. You know, that's how it was. So
yeah.
Stan had to go to Newcastle because Brown, who I thought was a crackerjack manager, he turned round to Stan and said, "You've got to go." And Anderson said in his book, "I'll go anywhere but Newcastle." And Brown said to him, "Well, Newcastle, Harvey, the manager's come in for you." So there you are.
Yeah. He had no
I mean,
choice.
400 and odd games.
Yeah.
In mind, I suppose I should have mentioned Lenny Ashurst for left back. And he was very good. And I think he's got our record for an outfield player. But I still preferred Michael Greer, even though Lenny lives in Whitburn now.
Right, yeah. Oh no, that's pretty. That's pretty. Stan Anderson. So who will be his midfield partner?
Well, the other one is Henderson, who actually was good at Sunderland, and we thought, yeah, he's gonna be good. But I think I'm picking him because of the way he's picked it up with England and Liverpool. Because I didn't think he would become that superstar that he is. I mean, was he Footballer of the Year, something, Matthew? Was it?
I think so. And he also was Sports Personality of the Year of 2020 as well. So something like that. So he was a great player. He was starting every week when he was 19 years old in the Sunderland team. You know, not a lot of players do that.
That's right. And in that youth team, you might have been with us when Sunderland youths, when we got knocked out in the semi-final against Man City, who had, well, you know, all superstars from around the world. But in the quarter-final, we played at Charlton. And of course, the quarter-final of the Youth Cup. And Henderson was in that team. And he was pretty good, but there was one lad, we won 2-1, one lad ran the show. And that was John Joe Shelby. And I thought, God, hey. And I thought, it's a bloke. Because of his alopecia, he looked so old. And I said to this Charlton player, I says, hey, that lad in midfield's good. He says, yeah, he's 15 next week. I says, you're joking. And of course, all of ours, older lads, most of them were 18 or 19 then. But yeah, we had what do they call the lad who played in the midfield with Henderson, who went to Newcastle? Ginger.
Colback.
Yeah. Good players they were. But the other thing about Henderson, our Denny, when she used to go to Denise, when she used to go to Pilates, her Pilates teacher was Jordan Henderson's mum.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's brilliant.
He's right from the town centre, so again, another local lad, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a good story about him when we were at the 2014 League Cup final. We got the tickets off Jeff Shreves, who works on Sky Sports, who interviews the managers and that. He got the tickets off Noah Quinn, gave them to us, and so we were in the Sunderland end. And then I was there with my older brother Billy, and we were just there, when there was this guy in like this sort of body warmer with his like hood up. People were taking selfies with him, and I was like, "Who's that? Why are people taking selfies with him?" And then Billy goes and starts taking selfies with him, and he goes, "It's Jordan Henderson," and I'm like, "What?" So Jordan Henderson was there next to us at the final, and I have to say, when Barini scored, I looked over at Henderson, and he was just going mad like everyone else, really. You know,
Yeah.
just jumping everywhere. So it just shows, really. Although he's gone to Liverpool, won the Premier League, Champions League, he still loves Sunderland.
Yeah. And once he gets old and his performances start easing off, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't give us a couple of years
Yeah.
at the end of his career. We'll see.
Because you have to think, if we get back to the Premier League, that'll be, I don't know how long that'll be. Maybe like, yeah, if he comes right at the end of his career, yeah. Say if we get back there in about 5 or 6 years, he'll come in and play for about a season, a bit like how Steve Bold did for when he came to Sunderland for that season. When he retired obviously his whole career, like at Arsenal, came to us at 37 years old for a season and then retired. So Henderson might do the same thing.
Yeah, but he was great for us, Bold.
Yeah.
Aye. There we are.
Yes, maybe Henderson could do that. All right, then. So you got 4 attackers then. So I guess we can just list these ones. I think we'll start with the one right on the left wing. We'll go with that first. Who have you got there?
Well, can I say I usually have 5 players.
Yeah.
Because when we were lads, you always had an outside right, outside left, inside right, inside left, and centre forward. Yeah. And I picked outside. I can't have these. I picked outside right Bingham, inside left Shackleton, centre forward Clough, inside right Phillips, and outside left Chewett. But I'll have to leave Bingham out. Billy Bingham was my hero as a child. I always wanted to be Billy Bingham, dribbling outside right. But I've got to miss him out. So I think I'll put on the right, I'll put Chewett. And on the left, on the left, I'll put Shackleton. But Dennis Chewett, again, was an excellent footballer. I remember one particular game we played away at Luton. And we went on a Saturday and he scored 2 goals and we were on our way back to Sunderland, but we were going to a party in Leeds. So we went to Luton and saw Sunderland playing. Chewett was on fire. And he was in the cup team, of course. And I'll tell you, who ran him close was Billy Hughes. But again, Chewett, once he left Sunderland, playing in a really good team, played for England, etc. So, yeah, I'll have Dennis Chewett in there. He should be outside left. I'll put him outside right.
Yeah, no, that's no problem. You mentioned also as Shackleton. Can you tell us a little bit about Shackleton as well?
Well, Shackleton, you see, that's my luxury in the team because if he was on fire, he was just so clever on the ball. And you hear even older people than me giving stories, away supporters saying, oh, and Shackleton was rolling the ball with the bottom of his foot, teasing them, and then he would pull it back and go round them and this, that, and the other. And I saw a few games. I mean, some that I remember. The Charlton game, I think he might have scored 2 goals against us. And then the Wolves game, again, he might have scored 2 goals. That Wolves game might have been about 1952, something like that. And there are a couple of games I remember. But, of course, I then started seeing him fairly regularly. He had bad ankle injuries at the end of his career when he wasn't as effective. But when he was the clown prince of soccer, he was an entertainer. Grounds filled up to see people like Shackleton. Actually, I should mention that when I was younger, the games that filled up straight away, and Mum and Dad says, I've got to take you to this one, was when we played Blackpool, because everybody wanted to see Stanley Matthews, and they had Mortensen, the England centre forward, and so on. And it just continues even now, you know. People will pay money to see these superstars. And so Shackleton, I'll put in there. And because he was mainly left-footed, he could do anything, I'll move him over towards the left.
Yeah, no, that's
And
absolutely
he
fine. Yeah.
wouldn't stay on his left wing, a bit like McGeady doesn't stay there.
No, he just drops in and goes all over the place, really, doesn't he?
Oh,
But yeah, no, Shackleton, that's a great shout. So we're left now with two more players. So these are the two ones who are going to be mainly scoring all the goals, and I think who you've gone with, they're going to do that. So you want to start us off with one of your strikers?
they would get millions of goals. Well, maybe. Well, super, Kevin Phillips. You know, he was on fire for a few years. He was excellent. I remember one particular game where we away were hammered Derby 5-0 in the Premiership. And him and Quinn were shooting in before the game at our end. And I suddenly realised this is why I'm sure he scores so many goals, because he was aiming for the posts. Him and Quinn were practicing. And, you know, I reckon 4 out of 10 of his shots, he was hitting the post. And of course, in a proper game, if you go aiming for the posts or just inside the post, but he was fantastic. And it wasn't just goals close in that he scored. Look at that one he scored when Chelsea had thrashed us at their place at the start of the season. And they went up to Roker, and or was it the Stadium of Light then? No, I think it was still Roker. Well, it might have been the Stadium of Light.
What year was it?
Would it be about 97? So when Kevin just got the ball and thrashed it in.
Yeah, no, it would have been Stadium of Light. He never played at Roker Park.
All right. Well,
yeah.
in any case, I can't remember everything exactly.
Yeah,
you know, he scored some goals like that, and he was a super footballer. And when you reckon that he got the Ballon d'Or or whatever it is, you know, the golden boot.
The European Golden Boot.
In a very unfashionable team. Yeah. You know, so if he had been on fire like that in a really good team, you know, what would he have done? So yeah, Kevin, he'll get the goals.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. I think everyone, I think everyone who saw one of these episodes has picked Kevin Phillips so far, because he was just such an incredible player. Could score anything, tap-ins, volleys, the chip against Newcastle, like anything, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, that was in the wet.
Yeah, I know. Incredible.
I remember walking back to the car, and we were absolutely drenched. And I was with Frankie and a few others, and we were just walking past, just muttering to each other. And then we got into the car, well, because you know what it's like outside of Newcastle. We got into the car, and we all started going, yeah! We didn't dare do it. We didn't dare do it outside the car.
Oh dear me! Yeah, that was brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, Kevin Phillips, what a great player. That's brilliant. All right, then. So his strike partner is going to score the goals next to him. Who have you gone with?
Brian Clough is my one player of every single one of those who was my total hero for that season, where I think he would have broken all records. He might have even broken Dixie Dean's 60-goal record. I mean, he had, 27 goals or something by Boxing Day, and I was there when he got his nasty injury. But he was just so lethal. And if he was through on goal, I don't remember him missing one. And not just that. If Sunderland scored a goal, I was pleased. If Clough scored the goal, I was elated. And there was one game, second division, Huddersfield were top of the league, and they had the likes of Massey and people like that. And they were really good. And we were lying, I don't know, about third or fourth or something, and we went away to Huddersfield, and we were in the equivalent of the paddock. And Clough broke away twice, and you just never doubted it, thrashed it, and he scored 2 goals, and we beat them 3-0, and they were top of the league. And at the end of the game, I said to my mates, let's get on the pitch. and say, "Well done, Brian." And I said, "Yeah, come on then." And we charged forward, and I leapt onto the pitch, and this policeman grabbed me and lashed me around the head with his gloves and
Oh no.
chucked me back into the paddock. And all of my mates were laughing because none of them had followed me.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
within touching distance of Brian Clough. Mind knowing what he's like, he'd have probably clouded me as well.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest ever players to play for Sunderland, really, Brian Clough, and it's a great manager as well. One of the greatest ever managers, and it's as a manager as well.
We missed out on him. We won the Youth Cup with him running our team. Then he went to Hartlepool, very unfashionable, and they won the league. And you know, when he was down at, whether he was at Derby or Forest, but at the time he said he would have crawled up the A1 to manage Sunderland. And just because he was eccentric, they were too thick to say it. And to show how thick the establishment was, when you see all of these people who get knighthoods and this, that, and the other, and he won the European Cup twice with a little town team, and he got nothing, and it was just because he was eccentric. But there you are.
Yeah. No, I mean, go on, carry on.
Fantastic goal scorer, and although he was a local lad at Borough, he was a Sunderland supporter because Durham lads were Sunderland supporters. He just loved Sunderland. But there we are.
Yeah. No, I agree. Especially what you said about the knighthood. Like, you could say that about a lot of players. You know, Kevin Phillips, for example, where he didn't really get a fair run in the England team, and I think a lot of players were underrated. They could have done a lot more, but maybe. The sort of excuse was because I sort of played for Sunderland in a way. They wanted players who played for like Tottenham and Man United to be those main players.
That's right. Clough was the same. I think he had one game for the league or something like that, and maybe a game for when he was thrashing the goals in all the time. And I can't remember who his name is, but somebody like Johnny Atio played in the 3rd division or something for Bristol. And England picked him because he was thrashing the goals in. And yet Clough didn't get a sniff of it. And
yeah,
you're right.
No. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I mean that's great. Your team's going along the bottom now. No, that's a fantastic team playing a 4-2-4, I believe.
Sort of.
Sort of. But whatever they're playing, they're probably the 11 best players to ever play for the club. So I'm sure whatever formation they play, they do a fantastic job.
Well, if I was to pick the best players, I could go back to Charlie Buchan and Raish Carter, but I never saw them.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now, your opinion, the greatest players you've ever seen, and I think that's possibly maybe the best team we've had so far. So yeah, just thank you very much, Cass, for coming on. Have you enjoyed it?
I've loved it, Matthew. Yeah, I just like talking. I like talking to you. Yeah, but I love talking about Sunderland football, and sometimes I get things wrong, and I get arguments, and sometimes I get things right, even when I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's something I really missed. You know, especially being after the games, like after the games in the pubs, you know, before and after, just having a conversation about Sunderland, whether you're talking about a positive history or the negative things, you really do like start to miss it. So when we do things like this, it's really nice to you know, sort of reminisce over the memories.
Yeah. Well, when we're all back together, I need to tell your dad how good Gooch is.
and Jack Diamond as well.
I just like fancy Dans, blokes who I've put Shackleton in there. You know, he never got many games for England because he was too fancy. You know, he was an individual. And I like people who try it on, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in defence or midfield, but the forward.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, brilliant. But yeah, I think that sort of just about wraps it up, really, Cass. So just again, thank you very much for joining me. It's probably been my favourite one yet. It's been great to hear you talk about the team. As always, the video is in association with the Sunderland Food Bank. So all the information on
Very
how you can
worthwhile
donate.
cause. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So do please go and help them out. All the links in the description below. But yeah, again, please, if you have enjoyed, do leave the video a like and subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you all in the next video. How are the lads?
It's me Yorkshire. Well done, Matthew.